on this hot day in August. Thank you for, everybody could be doing something else, but you're here, so thank God you're here, and safe travels, back and forth in days like this. Tonight we've got a great program. We're really excited to have Sid Miller here with us tonight. We'll as we do every time, we need to go ahead and get started. We'll start with a prayer, and then we'll do our pledges. I was looking in Chronicles 2 of the Old Testament, and right now, leadership in this country is so important. It's just really important. And God talked directly to King Solomon. And he told him, he said, listen, he told King Solomon, he said, King, ask me anything. I'll give you anything you want. Anything you want. So Solomon, I'm going to have to read this. And Solomon replied, "Oh God, you've been so kind and good to my father David, and now you have given me the kingdom. This is all I want, for you have fulfilled your promise to David my father, and you have made me king over a nation full of people as the earth is full of dust. Now only give me wisdom and knowledge to rule them properly. For who is able to govern by himself? Only give me wisdom and knowledge." You can say, you can have anything. Only give me wisdom and knowledge. What in the world would we give to have leaders like that? Because it's much, much more than wisdom and knowledge now. They want everything else. God replied, "Because of your greatest desire to help your people, you haven't asked for personal wealth and honor. You haven't asked me to curse your enemy. You haven't asked me for a long life, but for wisdom and knowledge to properly guide my people. Yes, I will give you wisdom and knowledge." So that's straight out of the Old Testament. God was talking directly to Solomon. He said that. So let's think about that when we were moving to elect a president of the United States and all the way down the ballot. Those are the kind of leaders we really need to look for, those biblical values, right? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, hear a prayer today. God bless each and every one of you that's come tonight. Bless this nation, bless our state, and bless our community. Lord, you're in control. Guide us through this coming election cycle, and let your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Okay, our pledges. First of all, to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The greatest state in the nation, Texas. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Yeehaw! Okay. All right. Do we have elected officials? I know we've got our SREC, but we've got two SRECs here. But that I know of. Jerry and Dan. Jerry called SREC from Rockwall, and Dan SREC from Henderson County. Who else do we have elected officials? I know we got there's Judge Russo back there. Thank goodness. Thank you, Judge. Who else? Okay. And we got Sid Miller. He's elected. Okay. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Okay. Precinct chairs? All right. All right, precinct chairs, stand up. Stand up. How many precinct chairs we got in here? There you go. As Senator Bob Hall, how about Rowdy's mom? Okay. Our Senator Bob Hall says there's two important elections that go on every time that we really need to concentrate on, and one is the precinct chair, the other one is school board. A lot of things go on there. They spend a lot of money, Man. Okay. All right. Now we have we want to do our 50-50 drawing. We want to do that? Now I want to let you take over that. Come on up here, Pam.
Hold on to that.
Come here and speak into this so they can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me. I can talk pretty loud to begin with.
This is for what you mean?
The first prize.
First prize, we're gonna go with the big one. How much is it?
30.
$30. We thank you all for participating. I can't even see the number.
Jesus, I can't even. The last one was 708. I believe that's right.
Is that
708. The last three numbers, 708.
Let's see, let's verify.
Verify.
But it ain't mine.
Good.
Sorry.
Great. Thank you.
All right, here is 10, 20, 30.
Okay.
But I want a shirt.
Well, you make it.
With that-
Oh, here, keep your numbers. You're right, we're gonna draw for shirts.
This is for $18.
All right. 670. Last three, 670. Oh, the first three are 670 too. 6700670. Come on, you gotta be here. 670. 670. Yep.
Oh,
thanks, Jim. Thanks.
This is for 12. I don't know that. Sorry.
Let's see.
Get all your tickets over. $12.
All right. And it's 6700686. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Now then, we've got,
We have two shirts and two hats that we're gonna use the tickets for. Oh, but then everybody doesn't get a chance. Not everybody bought tickets.
well,
Okay, well, here we go. Well, should I have you draw? No. Go ahead.
I was just mixing them up.
And you get to pick.
What?
What?
6700676. And it's for, and this is from, it's a J6 shirt.
From Jerry Fisher.
No, from Sid Miller.
Oh, Sid Miller. Sid Miller, excuse me.
Mr. Miller brought these. Yep. There we go.
Well, Jerry gave them to us to draw up, so everybody would have a chance. But next time we have a meeting, y'all need to participate in our fundraiser. You never know what we're going to bring.
Okay, 6700706. 706. All right, while you're looking at your numbers.
70706.
You're a lucky girl.
Sure. All right.
Trade your shirts.
Yeah, Keep Texas Agriculture Great. You know who that came from. All right, we've got the last three are 673.
Uh-oh, boy.
673. 673. You want me to call again, or do you want to? Boy, some people are lucky. All right, one more drawing, one more for a hat. Let's go back. All right, this is a 7 number, 730. 730. Hey. And she's an island
money winners, everyone who donated back to the club. Thank you.
Well, normally at this time we have our normal business that we do with finances and that sort of thing, but we're going to dispense with all that tonight, and we're going to go right straight into our guest speaker. Did you want to come up and introduce Lori? You want me to do it? Okay. Our guest speaker. Let me tell you, when you talk about Texas, you know, when you start looking around, you find a lot of people like Sid Miller, but there's not but one Sid Miller. Thank goodness we got him here in Texas. He's got a nickname. It's called Trump's Guy in Texas. I believe I've heard that somewhere before. Yeah, you betcha. And we just got back from a national convention, and Sid was there. He really made a splash with his bus. And what's it called? The Gas and Grocery Express? Yeah, it was, you know, I thought it was a bull riding express, but no, it was gas and groceries. That's a little better. That kind of fits with. You got a big old picture of Joe Biden on it. So, but anyway, Sid is really he's our Texas Agriculture Commissioner. He's known statewide. That guy got more votes than Abbott, I believe. Yeah, Abbott and maybe, I don't know, maybe Paxton, the whole group. You betcha, all of them. So we're so honored to have you and his wife Deborah with us tonight. We appreciate that. They were so nice to us at the convention, you wouldn't believe what we got into with them. But we thought we was all good and everything, and we had a nice ride from 82 miles from the convention, from Madison, Wisconsin, all the way to the convention. But when you ride with Sid, you got to get out. When you get there, you got to get out and walk 3 miles. So he was thinking about our exercise. Sid, come on up here, buddy. Let me tell y'all what, I didn't get to talk to Sid before this about his program and everything. He has a program called the Rhino Roundup? Is that what it is? Rhino Roundup. And I can see our state representative is not here tonight, so I don't think he wants to be rounded up. So anyway, just want to throw that in. I mean, but there's a lot of things that have happened since we talked about this, and Sid was in the line of fire. I mean, actually in the line of fire when President Trump got shot it was in Butler, Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of things that he can talk to you about and everything, and there's so many things that's going to go in this election. We have just got to get that man in there. We can't, him and Ted Cruz, we've got to get him in there. Yeah. Sid, here you go, buddy.
Thank you, Rick. Well, good evening, Patriots. Good evening. Certainly good to be here with you. Actually, it's good to be anywhere besides Austin, so thanks for getting me out of town. You know, I asked Ray, I said, what do you want me to talk about? He said, well, why don't you talk about 30 minutes, take some questions, and go home. So the good news is, that's my speech right there. So it's not very long. It really is good to be with you here tonight. Obviously, Deborah's with me. We've got 2 sons, 5 grandchildren, 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws, and we live in Stephenville, Texas, where I still make my living off the land, raising cattle and horses and various crops. Last month, Deborah and I celebrated 47 years of marriage. 43 of them were pretty good. Deborah's a hero in the family. I like to brag on her a little bit because she really is. She was a high school counselor there at the high school in Stephenville where we lived. She came in one day and she said, you know, I just quit my job. Oh, no. Now, if you're involved in agriculture, you know that the secret to being successful in agriculture, farming or ranching, is having a wife that has a good job in town. So this messed up my whole business plan. I said, why? What are you doing? What'd you quit for? She said, well, we're going to save these kids that are falling through the cracks. We're going to start a high school, an at-risk high school, and get these kids off the street, get them off the taxpayers' dollar, and make productive citizens out of them, get them a high school diploma. Okay, so here we go. So she opened an at-risk high school there in Stephenville, ran it for several years, opened a second one in a residential treatment center. Now, that's where the courts adjudicate them to go get off drugs or alcohol. The good news about that is attendance is 100% because they're locked in. They can't go anywhere. So it does have some advantages. She did that for about 20 years, and she saved a lot of those kids, and she decided she'd retire. Well, she retired. She didn't really have anything to do. This was pre-grandkids. Well, grandkids were very big, and she didn't have any hobbies. And I travel a lot. Earlier this summer, I was in Kenya, Africa, on a trade mission. Ray just said I was up in Butler, Pennsylvania. I've been in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. End of the month, I'm going back to Indianapolis. I got to go back to Madison, Wisconsin for the World Dairy Expo. So I travel a lot. I speak 3 to 5 times a week to groups just like this. So I'm on the road a lot. I spent over 200 nights in hotels last year. That'll give you some kind of idea of how much travel I've got. So anyway, I come in off one of my trips one day, and Deborah's on the couch. I said, honey, you got to do something besides listen to Rush Limbaugh and watch Fox News. She said, you know, I agree. I'm just bored. I got to find a hobby. So about 2 weeks later, I'm in Houston. She called and said, I found the perfect hobby. I just love it. You're going to love it. I said, good. What is it? She said, oh, no. When you get home, I'll just show you. Okay. I had to wait, I guess. So 2 days, I come home, walk in the house. I said, all right, baby, let's see your hobby. I can't wait to see what it is you've come up with. She said, okay. Come out here in the backyard. I'll just show it to you. So we walked out in the backyard. There it was. The most beautiful chicken coop I'd ever seen. This is perfect. The first lady of agriculture is a poultry farmer. I can make campaign commercials out of this. You couldn't pick a better hobby. I'm so excited. I said, let's go look at your chickens right now. She said, okay, come on, I'll show them to you. So we walked over and we looked at the chicken coop. She's got a young rooster. She's got an old rooster. One hen. I said, oh, come on, honey. This is not going to work. You're a country girl. Get rid of one of those roosters and let's go get you some more hens. She says, oh, no. You don't understand. I said, I'm the ag commissioner. I know a little bit about poultry. It's not going to work. She said, oh, no, you don't understand. That hen needs both those roosters. I said, okay. Why would that hen need both those roosters? She said, well, you see that old rooster? I said, yeah, I see him. What about him? She said, well, he travels a lot. He's gone all the time. Well, I got the message. Now, we actually worked it out. Everything was good. As you can see, I never leave her home anymore. I just take her with me everywhere I go. You know, Texas agriculture actually has been the glue that's held our state together from the earliest inception. Longhorn cattle drives that came right through your community here all the way till today. It's the second largest industry up against oil and gas. Sometimes we're bigger than that when oil gets below $50 a barrel. So agriculture adds about $300 billion to the Texas economy each year. We lead the nation. Agriculture exports cattle, cotton, wool, mohair, hay, horses, sheep, goats, honey. The list just goes on and on and on. I'll give you an example. In Laredo, Texas, between the state of Texas and the state of Tamaulipas, there's a port of entry called Laredo. Laredo, this may shock you, is the largest port of any kind in the United States. Larger than the Port of New Orleans, larger than the Port of Los Angeles, larger than the ports in New York. One day, we have 17 ports of entry there. One day, 25,000 trailer trucks come and go between Texas and Tamaulipas, Mexico. That averages about $1 billion worth of trade. That's a big deal. So you can imagine how vital the new NAFTA agreement was, the USMCA agreement, because that's huge to our state. I was glad to serve on the tri-national committee that hammered that agreement out. So it's agriculture is really important. Now this agency I run is important too. It's a large agency. We affect your life more times in one day than any other state agency, I promise you. I oversee a $7 billion agency. My budget's over about $7 billion. Then that's just a number, but if I explain it like this, my budget is larger than the budget of 35 governors, larger than the budget of 35 states. That's a Texas-size operation, right? Now we do everything you think we do. We do cows, sows, plows, everything agriculture. But we're a lot more than that. We're the consumer protection agency for the state. So we make sure that you don't get ripped off. Did you ever wonder who certifies and checks all those barcode scanners when you check out? That would be us. That's my agency. We make sure that if they have a 2-for-1 sale, that it rings up, 2 for 1 and doesn't ring them all up at full price. You'll be surprised how many times it may be posted in the store, but it's not fixed at the cash register. We have over weights and measures. So anything sold by weight or measure or length, we do that. So all the scales in the state. When I took over, I found a lot of scales that weren't registered, businesses that weren't registered. So I launched Operation Maverick. If you know what a Maverick is, we're rounding up all the strays. We found over 7,000 businesses operating illegally in the state of Texas. But we got them all back on the Texas. We run the organic program, make sure you don't get antibiotics or hormones in your organic products. There was a 3-year backlog on that agency. We got it fixed in 90 days, and the train's been running on time ever since. So we touch a lot. I have highly trained, specialized inspectors in Giddings, Texas, in the metrology lab that inspect ping pong balls. You didn't know we inspected. I told you didn't know what we do. Anybody want to guess whose ping pong balls I inspect? The Texas Lottery ping pong balls. That's right. Millions and millions of dollars are riding on that ping pong ball. We have to do it in a vacuum chamber, special gloves. Human hands can never touch that ping pong ball because the oil off your finger make them heavy on one side and make a certain number turn out. We're also, ladies, men, you'll have no clue what I'm talking about. The ladies will all understand. We are the sheet police. You heard me, sheet, like pillowcases and sheets. So guys, your wife will go down to Walmart or some discount store and buy a set of sheets. They're about 120 or 150 thread count. Buy them for $50. But the ones she didn't tell you about, she bought at Macy's or Nordstrom's or Neiman Marcus, and those are 1,200 and 1,400 thread count. And those are $800 or $900 a set. So when somebody thinks they get ripped off, we get a swatch out of that sheet and we count the threads. Yeah. So I told you we're the sheet police. So we exposed, it was a nationwide, news article because we busted Macy's and Nordstrom's and Dillard's and Neiman Marcus. They were selling 1,200 and 1,400 count sheets that only counted about 200, 210 thread count. Yeah. So, and in their defense, it really wasn't their fault. Their suppliers were labeling the packages that way, and they were actually ripping off the department stores, and then the department stores in turn were ripping you off. But anyway, we got that. I tell you, you didn't know we were the sheep police either, did you? So that's some of the things we do. We run the Office of Rural Health Care. I oversee health care in 191 rural counties. It's real tough to retain and recruit doctors and nurses and pharmacists and keep those little rural hospitals and clinics open, but we managed to do that. In COVID, it was extremely tough. We have a marketing program called the Go Texan program, and we reached out to our members that have distilleries and got them changed over from making vodka or whatever spirit they made, and they made hand sanitizer. So we picked that up and delivered it all across the state, and I don't think any of them even charged us for that hand sanitizer. Everybody just pitched in. 60 Minutes actually did a special on us there. We do so much stuff. The biggest division I have is food and nutrition. It might surprise you that I'm responsible for 5 million school meals each day, every day. That's our biggest, but there's a lot of others. We do summer feeding programs, adult feeding programs, nursing homes. We work with and fund Meals on Wheels. We supply area food banks with surplus products. I was the first one in the nation to launch a farm to school program, a farm fresh program. I would go to these schools trying to get my head around what they were, and this was during Michelle Obama, and the lunchrooms were terrible, absolutely terrible. And so I'd say, how much local products are you feeding our kids? Well, none. I said, well, why not? We don't know any farmers. We don't have time to go to the farmer's market. We just buy it from Benny, Keith, or Cisco's. They cook it, flash freeze it, and we thaw it out and put it on that plastic tray. That's why you have healthy trash cans and not healthy kids are not eating it. And that's taxpayer dollars going in the trash. So we worked real hard. I don't believe in mandates. I don't make anybody do anything. I want them to do it because it's the right thing to do, and it's a good thing to do. So we started out slow, and I challenged them. I said, Farm Fresh Friday. At least on Friday, serve one product in your lunchroom that comes from a local farmer, and have Meet the Farmer Friday. Have that farmer come to the cafeteria and tell those kids where the food comes from, because they have no idea. Then we sent out gardening kits to those young grades, and they got some dirt under their fingernails and grew some of their own vegetables and developed healthy eating habits that way. So it's been very, very successful. Last year, no mandates. Our schools where they were feeding 0 local products bought and served $300 million worth of local products to your children and grandchildren in a public school. Sometimes that's a twofer. This is a threefer. So the kids get food that has no dyes, no preservatives, no added salt, never flash froze, cooked from scratch, and guess what? They eat it. So the kids get healthy food. The farmers have a new market, and they get a premium. The school gets a discount because they split it out from the middleman, and the taxpayer wins because their money's no longer going in the trash can. So it's been a great way. Matter of fact, we are the model for the rest of the nation. They're trying to mimic what we do here in Texas. I had to get a lot of waivers during the pandemic, because one day I was feeding those kids in the lunchroom, next day I had to feed them at home, try to feed them outside the lunchroom. So it took me several, and a waiver is just temporary permission to break the rules. The rule was they could only eat that food in the lunchroom, had to be on campus. So I had to get special permission because they were parents would have to bring them to school in the morning, get breakfast, send them home, bring them back to lunch. It just wasn't working. Plus they were congregated. It was we were trying to disperse the people, not have big crowds. Anyway, we got all that fixed. Again, became a model for the nation on the home delivered meal system. That reminds me, I do stuff I got the coolest job ever. I'll just tell you one of them. You remember during that pandemic when we ran out of toilet paper? Oh, you're laughing now. Mm-hmm. It wasn't so funny then. That was serious business. You didn't have any toilet paper. So one day, I've got an inspector over the largest distribution warehouse in the state of Texas. It's huge. He called me. I said, what do you need? What? He said, boss, this warehouse is full of toilet paper. I've never seen so much toilet paper in all my life. I said, oh my gosh, you can't find a roll anywhere. What are they doing sitting on it? He said, I have no clue, but this place, there's enough toilet paper in here for every man, woman, and child in the state. I said, go get the manager. I want to talk to him. So he got him on the phone. I said, hey, what are y'all doing sitting on that toilet paper? We need it. He said, well, I can't sell this toilet paper in Texas. What? What do you mean you can't sell toilet paper in Texas? He said, well, it would be illegal to sell this toilet paper in Texas. I said, how could it possibly be illegal to sell toilet paper in Texas when we don't have any? He said, well, Texas has a law that anything sold retail in the state, the instructions have to be printed in English, and this is all printed in Spanish. I go, I don't know anybody that needs instructions on how to use toilet paper. Really? I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You call your superiors. I'm going to call and get you a waiver, temporary, permission to break the rules so you can sell that toilet paper. Ask them if I get the rules suspended, if they'll distribute that across Texas and not send it to Mexico. He said, I'll call him. 45 minutes, I had the waiver. I called him back. I said, I got the waiver. What'd they say? They said, if you can make it legal, we'll let Texas have this toilet paper. In about 2 days, y'all had toilet paper again. Wow, that's good. I love this guy. So we have a marketing program. It's called the Go Texan program. It's been around 25 years. I don't know if you can see it. That's the logo, the Texas with the circle around it. If you shop at HEB or some other stores, you'll see that. If you go to the State Fair, we have a whole half-acre building there called the Go Texan Pavilion. We have 300 of our Go Texan partners merchandise in there. So it's set up to help entrepreneurs, startup companies, mom and pops. They may make a good beef jerky or jelly or jam or something, but they don't know how to market it. So that's where we come in. We come in, take pictures of it, show them how to market it, get them in HEB or Kroger, set it on Amazon. We have an export program if they want to export outside the United States. So when I got elected, I went overseas. I'm just telling you, Texas is something special. You show up in another country with this hat, and this gunfighter vest, and belt buckle, and boots, and this West Texas accent. I'm like a magnet. I mean, everybody wants to do business with a Texan. I mean, everybody. I mean, you just got to close the deal. All you got to do is show up. They'll sign up. So I said, we're going to take this globally. So the first 12 months I was in office, me or somebody on my executive staff, we were on every continent on the globe marketing Texas product. Huge, huge success. We eventually opened an office in Argentina because we were selling so much animal genetics in Central and South America. They're trying to improve their livestock genetics. That was great. I had to build a new livestock export facility in Del Rio. I had to build one at the airport in Houston to get our livestock we were selling to Indonesia, Vietnam, Taiwan. Bought a lot of Brahmin-influenced cattle. So it's very, very successful. So this agency, I told you it was a $7 billion agency, so I don't know how to run a bureaucracy. I'm a small businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. So I look at this agency like I'm running a Fortune 500 company instead of a bureaucracy. So we do things a little different. And some of you have mentioned when I came in about this, we're the only agriculture department that has a weekly TV show. We're on the RFD TV network, which is all rural programming. We're in 60 million homes across North America. We come on every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on the RFD TV network. And the show's called Texas Agriculture Matters. And it's kind of like Bob Phillips' Country Reporter. Everybody's seen that, right? We just go around the state showcasing the best that Texas has to offer. And it's been huge. I just recorded my 12th season, and that will be 20 shows that run, and then we have to have, another season. So we've recorded over 100 episodes of that, and it's, if you have a chance to watch it, you can catch it 6 p.m. on Tuesdays or 6 a.m. on Fridays if you want to record it, if you miss it. Another thing we do different, we're the only ag department that does this. Some of my people said, our market is the redneck crowd. We make craft beer and Slim Jims and jerky, and that's people that buy ours. We'd like to have a presence in NASCAR. Those guys are, the rednecks are our target market. I said, okay, we'll just get a team. We'll just get us, well, that was a little out of our budget. We couldn't quite swing that. But I did meet a nice guy from San Marcos that had a team. And I had an idea. So I called Tim in my office and said, "Why don't you come on, I need to talk to you." So he drove all the way up to Austin, sat down. I said, "Tim, I want your racing team to join the Go Texan program." He just laughed at me. He said, "Why would my racing team need to join the Go Texan program?" I said, "Well, it's like this. Once you become one of our Go Texan partners, I have an obligation to market your product." He said, "Well, I'm listening. Go ahead." I said, "Well, as soon as you sign up, I got a Go Texan member that'll buy the right front fender. Another one wants the door. We got one for the quarter panel. We got one for the tailgate, the hood, the roof. We'll go down the other side of the car and we'll fill your car." He said, "You mean everybody, every sponsor on my car would be a Go Texan member, a Texas company?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Sign me up." So we've been racing now for about 5 years, and it's been great. We hadn't won a race yet, but any day now, we're going to get there. So Ray mentioned that I was in Butler, Pennsylvania. So about 3 or 4 months ago, I was sitting around, my cowboy logic kicked in. I said, and I'm a big Trump man. Ray said that, and was interviewed for Ag Secretary, and was picked to be in the cabinet in the second term. Of course, it didn't happen. So I'm thinking, Trump's going to be in the courthouse or the jailhouse, in the fall, because they're not going to let him campaign. So somebody's got to get out there and be a surrogate speaker and take this campaign on the road. So I come up with this idea that I get this double-decker bus and wrap it, and I call it the Gas and Groceries Truth Tour. And we put the charts on there, the price of gasoline going up, price of groceries going up. And put a big picture of Biden on there, said, I did that. And so we had a text message. I've got a widget. You can go to the website. I think it'll be up this week sometime. It may be up today. I hadn't checked. But you put in your zip code, and it'll tell you how much your gas has gone up, how much your groceries has gone up, how much utilities have gone up, how much insurance has gone up. And I think it's going to be very effective. So I was asked to go to Butler, Pennsylvania to the rally. So I took my bus up there. We were going to Milwaukee. Anyway, it's only like 500 miles out of the way, but not much for a bus, right? So I'm up there at the rally, and I'm sitting with the VIPs. I'm as close as anybody. I'm about 30 feet from me, right on the rail. I'm standing up on the rail, and the stage is like 6 foot from me. And if this is the podium Trump was speaking from, I'm right over here 30 foot to his right. And I'm standing there, and typical Trump, he's an hour late getting started. He's supposed to start at 5, he gets started at about 6. He's into his presentation probably 5 minutes, probably maybe a little less. And it was odd because he started out talking about illegal immigration, how much it's gone up, and he usually does that at the end of his speech. So he said, can y'all, I know y'all are not really ready to put that chart. Could y'all put that chart up on the big screen? I want to talk about it. Of course, everybody's scrambling. He's off the prompter going, out in left field like he does. So it took him a little bit, but they got the chart up. And he said, "Now I want you to look at this chart. When I left office, that was the day I left was the lowest illegal immigration ever recorded." And then he turned like this and kind of tilted his head and said, "And look what," and about that time I heard a pop. I thought, I didn't see any balloons around here. Where'd that come from? Then I heard another pop, pop. People started screaming. Then I knew what it wasn't balloons. It sounded to me like a very small caliber, like a 22, because it wasn't very loud. And right standing by me is a Secret Service agent, just on the other side of the fence. And everybody's hitting the ground, laying down. They're kneeling down as low as they can in the stands. And Trump's grabbed his ear and he's looking at it. And he's bleeding, and he lays down on the stage. And Secret Service people pile all over him. And I'm probably the only one that didn't duck. I'm just standing up there looking like this, you know. I'm trying to find the guy. We got to, whoever this person is, we got to tackle him. We got to get him before they, you know. I'm thinking, you know, and when Trump hit, I heard it pop, 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 5, just bam, 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 like that. And I'm thinking, well, Trump may be hit 4 or 5 times. I don't know. He's not moving, but you can't see him because all the pile of bodies on top of him. And then people started screaming right behind me. I thought, oh, good, somebody got him. So I turned around. They hadn't got him. It was a fireman. He was right behind me to my right. And he was dead on impact. I mean, it took half his head off. It was a terrible sight. And then to my left, and they didn't ever talk about this lady. She had a big chest wound. She was really bleeding from her chest. And then 2 rows behind me, in folding chairs, I just talked to this. I just met him for the first time. It was Congressman Ronnie Jackson's nephew from Amarillo, and he got shot in the neck right here, but didn't, you know, it just grazed him. I mean, it was that far from his jugular vein. I mean, it come close to killing him, kind of like Trump. And so all these people are screaming they need medical help, and then I look across the stage, and the other bleachers all the way the other side, and there's 2 people over there hit. So I'm thinking it's a crossfire. There's 2 shooters, you know, they're coming in this way. They've hit people on both sides. I was wrong, obviously, just like the pop. I was wrong about that. The shots came from behind me, you know, over the people, through the people, towards Trump. The people behind me all got hit from behind, and the 2 people were in direct line of fire on the other side. So 5 people hit, not counting Trump. 8 shots, so there's 3 more shots. So on the other side was a big telehandler. It's like a telescoping forklift. And they had it run all the way up and had a big row of speakers hanging down. Well, one of those bullets hit the hydraulic line on it, and it was spewing hydraulic fluid, and those speakers just kind of eased down to the ground because they lost pressure. And then on my side, they had a big Massey Ferguson combine blocking the view. And on the other side, they had a big 4-wheel drive, massive John Deere tractor. That tractor took the one in the cab, you know, through the windows. So that's 7. I never have figured out where the 8th shot went. I figured the one that hit Trump probably hit, you know, one of those people on the other side, because it didn't slow it down. It just, you know, went right by him. So anyway, that's it. Never could find, you know, and the reason it was pop, pop, pop wasn't loud. It was like 150 yards behind me. It wasn't a 22. It was a 5.56, you know, high velocity round, an assassin round. You know, it would, you know, take your head off and hit you. So I'm looking at Trump, trying to figure out if he's alive or not, and the pile starts moving, and Trump starts getting up. I think, oh, good, he's not dead, and he's landing right towards me, and I can see his eyes. I don't think he's looking at me, but I'm looking in his eyes. He's laying like this. He gets up, and he turns towards the podium. I thought, oh my God, he's going to finish his speech. He's going for the mic. He was trying to get to that microphone. I thought, oh man, that's Trump tough right there. You know, holy cow. And then, of course, he had these 5 or 6 agents hanging all over him, and he couldn't get. They wouldn't going to let him get to the mic. He tried. But they had him all like this, so he wiggled this arm out, and, you know, he did, you know, fight. And they whisked him off the stage. And the last thing I heard him say was, get my shoes. He lost both of his shoes. So anyway, everything I thought was going on was wrong. I think dumbest thing I did was keep standing up. I think next time I'll probably duck. But you know, my cowboy logic kicked in. I thought, well, he's not shooting at me. I'm fine. And it's a 22. I've had hornet stings hurt worse than 22. You know, how bad could it be? And of course, I was wrong again. And so anyway, they got him out of there, and there was only a handful of people that just got out of there like jackrabbits, just squirted out, you know. And the rest of us stayed, you know, where we were. There could have been a lot of people hurt if the crowd had stampeded. But I think that crowd, for the most part, were worried about Trump and wanted to figure out, you know, how bad he was hurt. So anyway, that's kind of the story. I'll make two observations. They said, well, what were you feeling? What were you thinking? I said, well, the only way I can describe it, I've had this feeling one time before. And I can't really describe it, but if you felt it, you know what I'm talking about. The only time I ever felt like I felt when I saw Trump get shot is when I saw that second plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was just a gut punch, kind of an empty, oh my God, did I just see that? Did our world just change? Did that just happen? I can't, you know, it's like, am I dreaming? I don't know how to explain it, but it was a very, just kind of a hollow feeling, I guess is the way it is. And the other observation is, without any doubt in my mind, none whatsoever, God's hand was on Donald Trump that day. If he hadn't done like that, he'd have been dead. Absolutely would have been dead. So anyway, we took us about, the crowd dispersed very orderly, no stampeding. We got out of there. Of course, Trump was all right. They got the shooter. I actually thought one of the shooters, there's a big water tower behind me. That's where I thought the shots were coming from. And I couldn't figure out, I was looking, you know, I could see everything on the other side. I couldn't find a shooter in the crowd or on the buildings, so I was wrong. It wasn't crossfire. But it seemed like it at the time, you don't know. And of course, the shots were not a small caliber, they were a high caliber round. And anyway, so we got out, it took us about 3 hours. I've had that bus, the bus is not very nimble when you're trying to get out of the parking lot, you know. So basically we had to wait till everybody cleared out. And then we went on to the convention, met up with Ray and Doc, several others that were there at the convention, and we had a good time. It was the most enthusiasm, patriotic thing I've probably ever been to in my life. All the speakers were great. You know, it was, Kid Rock came out, and then Hulk Hogan, and then Franklin Graham. Oh my God. Franklin Graham has to follow Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan? Who put this thing together? Yeah. So anyway, that's my story. I want to tell you about a couple of things, and I'll take a few questions. One thing that you need to be aware of, this kind of stealth, and it's going on right under your noses. Some of you will know about it. The first week in office, Biden, by executive order, established the Biden 30 by 30 plan. If you don't know what that is, his plan is to take 30% of our productive land out of production by the year 2030. And that's phase one. Phase two is 50-50. Take 50% of our producing land out by the year 2050. I'm talking about agriculture, but not only agriculture. I'm talking about oil and gas. I'm talking about mining. I'm talking about timber. Any of this stuff that has to do where we make our living off the land. And it's a global initiative. It's a global initiative. It's a one world government initiative. Europe is actually way ahead of us on it. You may have remembered 2 or 3 months back, the farmers in Europe were rioting. They had tractor canes, and they were hauling manure and dumping it on the government property. And they first told them to stop using nitrogen fertilizer. And then they said, get rid of half your livestock. And then they said, we're going to take over half your land. And they overthrew the entire government of Sri Lanka. In the Netherlands, the largest ag producer over there, overthrew the government leader and threw him out of office. So it's a real thing. So be on the lookout for it. The people leading the charge, if you want to follow and get more in-depth information, is a group called American Stewards of Liberty. That's the ones that are fighting the fight and leading the charge. It's a man and a wife from Georgetown, Texas. The lady lost 17,000 acres. Her family did. The government took it away from her. So anyway, Dan and Margaret Byfield, American Stewards of Liberty. Another thing I want to mention, because Bob Hall was helping me on this, and we found out about it too late to get the legislation passed, but he did file it, so we'll be ready to go again. Now, it's mRNA vaccines in livestock. Like the COVID vaccine. Now, I've been in the livestock business all of my adult life. I've been vaccinating my livestock for COVID for probably 30 years. I mean, we've got every vaccine you can imagine that we need. They all work. They're real vaccines too. They're either a modified live virus or a kill virus. You put them in the animal's body and they have a reaction to it and develop antibodies, real antibodies. This mRNA is not really a vaccine. It's kind of a gene editing, and I don't know why we would need it, but they're pushing it real hard on us. And I've researched it in depth. Found out that they've actually been using it in swine for 5 years. I'm the ag commissioner. I didn't even know that. I mean, that's how stealth they are. And so kind of watch that. This research I've been reading says it doesn't transfer in the meat if it's cooked. Well, yeah, you lied to us about COVID too. I don't know where I believe that. It does transfer in milk. So that was one of the findings. So kind of keep that on your radar. Another thing that's really bothering me, and this was what really spurred my rhino hunt, and I'll talk about that, is how many people in here would agree with me that we probably need to stop China from buying any more of our farmland? Kind of a no-brainer. So we do some stupid stuff. That's one of them. Have you ever heard of Smithville Foods? Yeah. They're the largest pork producer in the United States. They produce 60% of our pork. They also process 60% of our pork. And guess who owns them? China. Can you believe that? We do some stupid stuff. That's got to stop. So anyway, we're going to work on that. Always in Republican primaries, I've kind of always helped to Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, don't talk evil of a fellow Republican, save that for the Democrats. And I've kind of stayed out and, and try to, adhere to that. Campaigning against a Republican, it's kind of like dancing with your sister. It's not the same thing anyway, it's just not. I love to campaign against Democrats. I mean, that's fun. But this time again, my cowboy logic kicked in. I said, wait a minute. These guys aren't Republicans, they're rhinos. So, I was mad about Ken Paxton. I was mad about the China deal. I worked 5 years on getting this bill to stop China from buying our farmland. Worked with Senator Colcourse. One of the first bills they passed out of the Senate. They amended it on the Senate floor. It got better. They sent it to the House. One of the first bills they got. Never got a hearing. Never got a hearing because the Democrats still run the House. The Speaker, Dave Phelan, is still beholden to all the Democrats, and they didn't want it, so it never got a hearing. So that's what prompted me to go. I declared I was going on a rhino hunt. It was open season, no bag limits. So where there was a good, credible, conservative challenger to one of these rhinos, I endorsed them. I did that across the board. Sheriff races, county commissioners, you name it. I endorsed about 40 challengers. I don't know anybody ever endorsed that many people. And probably out of the 40, we probably got 30 or 35 of them. We got 20 to change over in the House. 5 of them saw the writing on the wall and decided not to run again. And then we got a few more in the primary, and then we got even another 7 or 8 in the runoff. So that was 15 plus the 5 that didn't run. So that's 20, 21 or 22. I don't know, I have to add it up. So I don't think that we're going to get a new speaker. I think it'll be Dave Phelan again. We got him in a runoff. We actually beat him in my eyes, but he won by 300 votes. And the reason he won by 300 votes, 1,700 Democrats crossed over and voted in the runoff. We've got to have closed primaries. We can't allow that to happen. We're one of the few states that has open primaries and lets anybody vote wherever they want to vote. And we're the only Republican-led legislature that appoints Democrat chairs. It's got to stop. Got to stop. So we'll see what. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. You know, he's got 64 Democrats now, so he needs 10 of his rhino buddies to vote for him, plus himself, and he's in. What we can do to help Ray is flip some of these Democrat seats. I think we can flip 3 to 4 to 5 of them. And then I would get him only 60 Democrats. Now he's got to have 15 or 16. So if we can stop him, it's because we've got to cut the Democrat numbers down so they don't have as much influence. By caucus rules, and I served in the House, I know the rules very well. They're supposed to pick the speaker in the Republican caucus. And whoever wins that is they go to the floor united. Never happens. It didn't happen with Phelan. It didn't happen with Bonin. It didn't happen with Strauss. They were all elected by the Democrats. So anyway, I think probably my 30 minutes is getting pretty close, Ray. Let me take some questions or comments from the crowd. And by the way, we didn't get here in time to see everybody, but Deborah's got cards. She'll get up and start passing those out, hon. And I'll stay around up here at the front if you've got private questions, or we'll get over here in front of the flag if you want a picture, and we'll stay for a little bit. We've got to drive 2.5 hours back to Stephenville, but we'll stay as long as y'all need us to stay. Yes?
What was the group American Stewards?
American Stewards of Liberty. American Stewards. Yes, in the back. Speak real loud.
Okay. I'm really concerned about bioengineered and genetically modified food that is taking over all of our food grocery store. I mean, it takes me about 3 times as long to shop because I have to read all the ingredients. But is there anything that's being done about that, or anything we can do about that?
Well, 2 points there. One is the fake meat. Let me talk about that. That was the new rage, you know, lab-grown meat, fake meat. Big companies have invested millions and millions of dollars on that. It pretty much flopped. Their investment's worth about 20 cents on the dollar right now. It didn't take off. Another thing you need to watch for, part of this 30 by 30 plan is to get you off traditional protein, you know, beef, pork, chicken, and eat insects. I'm serious. You can go to Whole Foods and get insects now, insect powder. So, in the way they trick you, if it doesn't say crickets or grasshoppers, it'll have the Latin name, and you don't realize what it is. So that, the genetically modified crops, and I respect your opinion, and I don't disagree with it. If you don't want it, you know, don't buy it. It is hard to find not. But let me just tell you the facts. So genetically modified crops don't have any genes added to it that are in the human body. What they do is they take a gene from another plant, put it in that corn plant, and it makes it resistant to Roundup or another herbicide. And there's only 3 crops that are genetically modified: corn, cotton, and soybeans. Nothing else is GMO. If it says GMO free, well, it's always GMO free. Butter's GMO free, all of that, you know, all of that. So.
On the ingredients, it says there's GMO ingredients in the bread.
Well, it could have some soybean meal in it.
Right.
Right. So anyway, but let me explain something to you. One more point. You make up your own mind. Because of genetically modified crops, it's probably been the best thing for the climate in our lifetime. Because with genetically modified crops, we've been able to go to no-till and minimal-till farming. Now, traditional farming, we use about 5 gallons of diesel per acre. Minimal-till, no-till, we average about 1 gallon of diesel per acre. What other industry can say that we've cut fossil fuel use by 80%? That's huge. We've cut commercial fertilizers by 40%. We've cut pesticides by 40%. We don't turn the ground over anymore, so we don't release hydrocarbons. We don't turn the ground over, so we're not killing microbes anymore. So it's not all bad. I guess I'm you know, if you don't want those in your body, I respect that. But you do have to watch. You have to read a lot of labels to find that. But just keep in mind, it's only 3 crops. Yes, sir.
With Kaufman County and private families like ours, suburbanizing and urbanizing to a degree, like what do you recommend to kind of protect agriculture here and really protect our culture and the traditions that we have?
You mainly referring to urban encroachment and loss of farmland, is that okay? So we lose about a farm per day in the state of Texas. That's a problem. We right through this area, the Blackland Prairie is where they like to build the solar farms. And the reason they like the Blackland Prairie is there's no dust. So West Texas has got dust and it covers up cuts the sunlight out. So this is a preferred choice up and down I-35 basically. It's not, the limiting factor is not the loss of land. At the rate we're losing land, we've got enough land to last us 700 years. The problem is water. We are out of water already. That's the limiting factor. The state of Texas owns all the surface water. We regulate that with river authorities, Colorado, the Trinity, the Brazos River Authority, etc. They allocate the water to the cities, to the farmers, to manufacturing, and it's all allocated. There is no more. So the groundwater, the surface owner owns that. So I'll give you an extreme example. The Rio Grande Valley is watered by the Rio Grande. 2 lakes, Amistad and Falcon. We've had a treaty with Mexico since 1944, and they won't pay up their water bill. And they're not going to. They never have. So we've got people sitting around whining about Mexico not paying their water bill and not doing anything about themselves. Amistad is at 19% capacity, and Falcon is at 12%. They're mud holes. And half of that is in Mexico, and we're on the high bank. So as it goes down, the water leaves us and goes towards Mexico. So we're basically out of water. The last sugar mill in the state of Texas closed in the valley because the sugarcane growers couldn't get water to grow the crop. 500 jobs gone. No sugar mill. Sugar land. No sugarcane anymore. They just bulldozed 6,000 acres of citrus in the valley. They couldn't water it. So it's a real problem. So we've got to do some things to alleviate that. Some of our cities, largest cities, by the time they get their water until they deliver it, lose 30%. The small cities are just as bad. Some of our small cities, and I just gave 90 communities $500,000 each to replace cast iron water lines, galvanized water lines that leak and bust and break, and so they're wasting their water. We're going to try to get the infrastructure to fix that. So we got to fix the infrastructure in the cities, a delivery system. Now in the valley, that water is delivered by irrigation canals to the cities. Those irrigation districts are losing 40%. And the city loses 70%. And we're complaining about the water treaty not being paid. We need to pick ourselves up by bootstraps and fix that. We spend millions and millions of dollars on stormwater drainage, getting rid of stormwater. We don't need to get rid of it, capture it. Let's have some rainwater harvesting. Let's capture that. We can irrigate with it, use it for manufacturing, It's really clean water. If you want to drink it, it doesn't take hardly any expense to clean that up. But we don't. We let it send it right down the gutter into the creek, into the river, into the bay. Even on the Rio Grande, we have high rainfall events, and that water runs right out in the bay. We need to build off-channel storage so we can capture that. So when we get in a pickle like this, we've got a reserve. We actually did that on the Colorado River. We had 600,000 acres of rice in the Katy Prairie, watered by the Colorado River, the Trinity, and the Brazos. The Highland Lakes and everything upstream couldn't release any water. So our rice farmers couldn't have any water for the rice, so we went from 600,000 acres to 100,000 acres. But they did something about it. They built off-channel storage, so when we do get a big rainfall and the water comes down to Colorado, they divert some of it and fill all these lagoons up, so when it gets dry like it is now, they can still grow a crop. So our rice is starting to come. We just got to do some smart things. We take fresh water and frack with it. We got to stop. We got to take brackish water, clean it up, frack with that, and then recycle it instead of injecting it back in the ground. Little city of Alice, we helped them put in an RO plant, desal plant. They're no longer going to be dependent on lake water. They're going to make their own water from brackish water, salt water, run to the ground right under them. So there's a lot of things we can do to solve our water problem that we're not doing, but we just got to be smart about it and get off our. This is so un-Texan for us not to take care of ourselves. We got to get busy and take care of Texas water problems. Yes, sir.
Dovetailing on that, taking care of ourselves. Kaufman County traditionally has been an agricultural community from way back when. As the urban people are moving in, our appraisal districts appoint boards on the agriculture, they're called the Ag Board, and they determine what an agricultural exemption is on the property. There's a lot of people in this community, in this county, that have 5 or 6 acres, and they're able to have a cow or some sheep and chickens and a garden and be self-sufficient and promote agriculture and sustain it and teach our young people how to take care of the land and promote agriculture, how to save the water, the runoff water, and use it back in agriculture on our own land. The problem we have here, Kaufman County has to have 9 acres before you can qualify for an ag exemption. All these other counties around us only require 3 acres. I would like to see something happen that would be uniform, at least by region, if not by the entire state, to let some of these people who are wanting to grow their own food, have a couple of pigs, a cow, sheep, take care of themselves like their grandparents did, great-grandparents did. It doesn't take 10 acres to sustain a family. You know, you can do it on 3 acres. You can grow enough food to feed your family. It has to be taken away from us. And I would appreciate if there's something that your department or your section of the government could do to maybe foster something that would be uniform, that would help the agricultural people in these small counties or in counties that have ag boards that are killing agriculture, because you can't pay now they value your land at $70,000, $80,000 an acre, but you can't grow. You know, they won't let you get an exemption for that.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. And it's not so much against farming, they're against you paying the agriculture valuation, not the commercial rate.
That's right.
That's why the last constitutional election, we passed the Right to Farm Act to stop cities from running farmers, out of the city limits. And that helps. So normally I'm a big proponent of local control. In this case, it's not working because we've got this patchwork across the state, and some counties are abusing it. We do need a uniform, like you said, from region, because in El Paso, the acreage might not be the same as it is in Tyler, Texas. So but we can work that out. So here's the grassroots gets it done. Here's what I recommend. Those of you that are involved in your Farm Bureau, you're gonna have a state convention. You need to have a local resolution stating that. Take it to the state convention, get the Farm Bureau behind it. That is the most powerful agricultural advocacy group we've got in the state. So if you can get the Farm Bureau behind it, you're way ahead. Cattle raisers need to get behind it. Cattle feeders, the wheat growers, the corn, all of those. If you're in any of those groups, see if you can get them to do a resolution or put it in their policy book and get that fixed. And I'll give you a real quick example, and then we'll move on. We got more questions. So we got the legislature to add something about 14 years ago, maybe 16. We added into that agriculture code that if you are raising honey on your place, you will qualify for an agriculture exemption. When we did that, Texas went from about 20th in honey production. Now we're number 1. Wow. Yeah. And we did the wildlife exemption. So it can be done. I just throw those up that can be done. Right.
The Farm Bureau. We were watching the Farm Bureau, and this thing came out last week about the Farm Bureau moving to the left.
Yeah.
And supporting Chinese, and you know anything about that?
Oh yeah, I've been around and around with them. So they had a hearing over the Chinese purchasing farmland in the House, and they invited all 40 members of the Ag Council. That's Farm Bureau, cattle raisers, the wheat growers, all of those people. Anybody wanted to come testify. The only one that would testify was Farm Bureau. And basically, the guy that was testifying did a real poor job. So the way they work, they can't be for something unless it's in their policy book, and it only gets in their policy book if the members have approved it at the state convention. So what this guy got up and said that came out wrong was the Farm Bureau has a policy of supporting private property rights, and we have no policy on whether China should buy farmland or not. They got up and testified that. So it sounded like we don't, we're just, we want to protect our farmers' right to sell to whoever they want, is what it came across like. So they really didn't have an opinion. I don't know why they even testified on it. It was stupid. And so Texas scorecard rolled a deal, hey, Farm Bureau doesn't support, stopping China from buying any more farmland. And they don't. They don't have a policy stopping it. And they testified to that. Their big mistake was they didn't have any damage control for 4 days. And I started getting questions about it just like this, and I just said, well, that article said that, they don't have an opinion, but they support private property rights over everything. And so that got back to the Farm Bureau, and I was down in, where was that? Robert Lee. You may know where Robert Lee is. It's a speck about this big. Talking to the annual Farm Bureau banquet. There's 20 people there. The whole county, 20 people. And I walk in there, and there's the executive director of the Farm Bureau, the government relations guy, the president, elected president of the Farm Bureau, all the bigwigs from Waco over there. I thought, well, Lee, man, what are you guys doing out here at this punk and rolling deal? And they jumped me out for, I said, well, you mean that's not your position? They said, no, you should know that. I said, well, how would I know that? You hadn't told anybody. Well, we just thought we wouldn't respond. I mean, that would be the response is no response. I said, well, there's something called damage control, guys. You need to think about it. So anyway, I tried to, on my social media, I reach over 1 million people, 40 million a month. And so I put some stuff on there, and they didn't like that. So I took that down, redid it. And then the Ag Committee has another hearing on China buying farmland, and they go up there and testify the same thing. We're for private property rights, and we don't have an opinion. We don't have a policy on whether China should buy farmland or not. Well, they just need to shut up and go home. If you don't have an opinion, don't give one. Right? Isn't that a rule? If you don't have an opinion, don't give it. Anyway, so hope that explains it, but they're really in a pickle. They've had a lot of lost membership over it because of confusion over that. But that little county, they passed a resolution saying, we don't want China to buy any more farmland, and they're taking it to the state convention. I bet it passes. Yes, sir.
We're having both scorecard and Farm Bureau at our meeting in Van County next month.
Good.
Both of them. So we'll let you know, y'all.
How did you manage that?
How to manage that? I just trained it. But anyway, it's gonna be a free-for-all. I'm sure we'll pack it.
Oh, they're mad at me for trying to help them, get out of a pickle. Yes, sir. Judge, right? Judge, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So, first off, thank you. So you're having your 15 years of your heritage farms, and we were looking for some heritage farms. What are we gonna do about young farmers? Because it looks like this next generation doesn't wanna farm. What can we do to encourage farming and the great work and heritage that we have?
Excellent observation. So, the average age of the American farmer and rancher is about 60. Now, when this country was formed, when Texas was a republic, 98% of the people were farmers or ranchers. But if you didn't grow it or kill it, you didn't eat it. There wasn't a supermarket to go to. Today, we make up less than 2%. About 1.5% feeds everybody. So we've got to have some young people coming along. It is a problem. So at the department, I've got this program called the Young Farmer Grant Program. And the way I fund it, it's not really taxpayer dollars. I don't think it is. You can judge. But when you buy a farm plate for a trailer or a farm truck, something like that, there's a $5 extra fee on there. And you don't have to pay it. You can opt out and say, I don't pay that. They'll take it off. And we take that money and we put it in a pot. We don't use any administrative money out of that. And then if I've got a young couple under 40 years old that wants to get started, let's say they want to buy 20 Angus heifers. Okay, we'll go 1,000 a piece, buy 10 and you buy 10. We'll partner with you. And they don't have to pay that back. And then they get their start. I mean, otherwise it's tough to get started. Or I had a young couple, and those farmers pitched in $5 a piece to give that couple a hand up, and it's working great for us. So go to my website, texasagriculture.gov. I've got a whole column on grants for counties, for young farmers, for cities, hospital districts. We're kind of the clearinghouse. We're what HUD is to the big cities. We're that same thing to the rural communities. Like I said, I just sent out $500,000 grants to 90 rural entities to fix their water infrastructure last week. Way in the back.
What was the name of your program on TV that you mentioned earlier?
Texas Agriculture Matters.
What was the channel is it on?
It's on, depends on what you've got. It's on DirecTV, it's on Dish. On Dish, it's 231. I don't know what it is on Direct because I don't get Direct. Some cable companies carry it, some don't. But you can go to YouTube and watch any channel, any episode you want.
Texas Agriculture.
Matters.
Okay.
That's our slogan. Texas Agriculture Matters.
Okay.
We want everybody to know that. That's our slogan. Yes, yes.
Speaking of land and water rights, is there anything being discussed about developers buying up big chunks of land like in Kaufman County that are setting up a development to sell directly to illegal aliens? And we've got a big one coming in on 243 that the county's looking at approving. Is there anything in the state legislature that's being done so that we don't have to do that or we can deny that?
Well, there happens to be a real controversial development like that. Is it north of Montgomery County? What's the name of that? Does anybody remember it? I forget the name of it. But anyway, it's the Colony. Colony Ridge. Yeah, Colony Ridge is the name of it. So you might research that. The legislature has been meeting on that to see how to deal with it. So there is action. I think it would apply to your situation too. Yeah, Colony Ridge. They're the poster child for doing that. Yes, sir.
Is there a program regarding feral pigs?
Okay, is there a program for feral pigs? So I've been working on this a long time. I told you I was a legislator. So I had two bills that I was known for when I was a legislator. One, I was a pro-life leader. I passed House Bill 15, which was a sonogram bill. And it saved about 15 to 20,000 babies a year. And the other bill I was known for was affectionately called the pork chopper bill. And it allows Texans to hunt wild hogs out of helicopters. And it's been very, very successful. So my legislative career, I was kind of known as the guy that saved the babies and killed the hogs. Kind of an eclectic mix. But so as your ag commissioner, I've been working funding scientific research. So we have come up with two effective baits. One is called hog out, and you keep it out and it sterilizes the male hogs, and they don't reproduce. So there's no harm to the pigs for the humaniacs that don't want to kill the pigs. They just don't reproduce. So no repercussion. The other one is warfarin, which is rat bait. Or some of you in here take a pill called Coumadin, which is a blood thinner. That's warfarin. So we have now approved a bait called warfarin. It'll kill them graveyard dead, and it only affects hogs. Doesn't kill any other species. No birds, raccoons, dogs, cows, nothing. So we have the controls out there. You got to have a little effort to put them out and go to a little expense, but yes, you can control them. Yes,
But
ma'am.
it only kills the hogs.
Only kills hogs.
Because I wanted to scatter over 2.5 acres of rat poison to get rid of the 5 herds that keep digging up our yard.
Well, just putting out the rat bait won't do it because they won't eat it. So what you have to do is we've got special feeders with 16-pound lids so other animals can't root them open. You tie the lids open, you put corn in them. You get the hogs to come and use eating the corn. Then you let the lid down, let them used to lifting the lid, eating the corn. And then you put the bait in with the corn. It's you can get it. Your local feed store can order it for you. It's called, affectionately called kaput.
Take one more question, Sid.
Yes, ma'am.
Comment is that I hope that you don't repeat what you said earlier tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Barely.
Okay.
Talk
I
loud.
hope that you do not repeat something that you said earlier tonight. And that is that I think Jay Fiedler might speak of the House again. We don't want to feed into a spirit of concession because we're still fighting against that. So
Right.
our assertion.
Well, and the antidote to that is we have to overturn some Democrat seats. If we can do that, we might be successful. If we don't do that and we lose Republican seats, we got a big problem. We got a big
And
problem.
the other, my question is that earlier, this summer, the Supreme Court overturned, rules that were, taking land, from landowners and regarding wetlands and rules such as that, such as puddles and whatnot. Did that have any effect on the 30 for 30? Did that make
That will have an indirect effect on the 30 by 30, and what she's referring to is waters of the U.S. Now, I've sued twice and won both lawsuits on that. Right now, I've got a stay, and that's the law of the land is waters of the U.S., and that has to do with the wetlands and all of that. We have a state, we're one of the states that does not have to comply until we have our hearing. The, what's the name of the case? Chevron case gives us a lot better standing than what we had. So it's an overreach of federal government is what that Chevron case did. And it will definitely apply to the waters of the U.S. It's what I think you're referring to. Thank y'all very much. God bless you. Be safe going home.